Hi, I'm Stephen Feinberg, Executive Director of the Rhode Island Film and Television Office. Our guest tonight is Eric Latek. Eric's an award-winning Rhode Island filmmaker. He went to Emerson College, where he studied film, mass media, and even acting. In 2002, Eric created a production company, Phantasma Pictures. Some of Eric's work includes the very acclaimed film Anna, as well as an experimental film called Branch, and his passion project of 15 years, Tiger, the story of Gary Tiger Boletto, the boxer and family man who ended up becoming a quadriplegic. It's a story that's inspiring. It's about love of life and love of family. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So you've been very busy, Eric. I mean, you've got a wife, you've got a son.
Yep.
And what are some of the companies that you work for in the daytime?
Well, I mean, my day-to-day is usually I'm working between different agencies, having to, usually travel, direct some commercials, come back, do post-production. So some of the companies off the top of my head are like IGT, which is located in Rhode Island, Cox, IBM. But a lot of times I'm dealing with agencies that they're the middle, entity for the bigger companies.
And are you soliciting that work, or is that word of mouth? How is all that work coming about?
Yeah, I to be honest with you, it's like I've never been good at promoting myself. I've never done the networking thing. It's really just been, word of mouth and just being humble, doing a good job, doing it with a smile on your face, and getting deadlines done, being under budget or on budget, and
on time.
Yeah, and on time. Yeah.
So you're doing that full time because air and water, you need to breathe and feed your family and do all those things. So you're doing that and you're sustaining yourself as a filmmaker, correct? Right?
Right, yeah.
And then you're parlaying all of that and you're working on your special projects that are the ones that are from your heart, like Anna as an example.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about Anna and what that piece is about?
Yeah, Anna was something, I was driving one day, and this is when, my godmother started to decline with Alzheimer's. And I just remember just something in my head just saying, I really need to get my camera on her. And sometimes it had nothing to do with, it was really nothing to do with I'm going to put in festivals and show everybody. It was just something I had to do for me. And get out of my system. So I spent the next year on occasion just going to the house, spending time with her, and just putting the camera in front of her.
I think that film, it feels almost like a poem. It's so beautifully done.
And that was the point. It wasn't really I wanted to show this story through her eyes.
Yeah.
And the only voice that really could kind of give any type of voice to Anna was her daughter, Diane. So I just told her, write however you feel that she would kind of speak and tell her story the way that you see fit.
And it's it's really beautifully done. Then you totally shift and do a film called Branch, which is an experimental film. It's a film that you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, and that was the objective too. I shot that for about 8 days out in LA, and that was one character, one location. And it was at a time where I just did not want any type of,
narrative, like a straight narrative?
No, not a straight narrative, but something where I just kind of wanted to let go and see how far out there I could go but at the same time come back in and keep the audience one step ahead from the audience.
Right, and then I think what's interesting too is how you use sound in Branch, because you use it like it's another character.
Right.
And I think of Robert Wise in the movie The Haunting.
Sound was a huge thing, and Mauro Colangelo, who we've been working together for about 10 years. Yep. And I explained to him as far as the fact that the sound design was going to be a huge factor in pushing moments into the film, because I didn't want to rely on all VFX.
Right.
There was some VFX in there, but I did want to have this idea that sound and the audience's imagination was going to push these moments.
And you did so beautifully. And we don't have much time, but let's talk about Tiger.
Yep.
Tiger's this 15-year project. You're catching these intimate moments between Gary, who's a quadriplegic, and his family.
Yeah.
I think it's masterful.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's kind of crazy when I think about that particular project that it's really been 1/3 of my life filming. So I've been filming that since 2001. And, you know, at this point, really my focus is really on not only these big life events, you know, for instance, I'm going to be filming Gary Jr. Thursday getting married. To
Wow.
think I started filming him when he was about 6.
And you had
And
no
now he's
idea
getting
where the
married.
story was going.
No idea, of course.
Right. He
You
was
know,
just a boxer, and he was going to try to unionize
Right.
the other boxers, and then
and then when he got into the injury, it just took it to a different level. And you know, at this point, a lot of my focus is not only just the life events, but also the fact that, you know, stem cell research is starting to come into play, and we're kind of at that forefront with spinal injury. So I'm really curious to see. I'm going to be patient and see where that goes.
You're working on all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
If you had to give a little bit of advice to some other filmmakers out there, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say learn as much as you can. You know, learn all the tools of the trade. So don't just be an editor. Don't just be a VFX person or just a director. You know, learn as much as you can. I always say once a student, always a student. So the more you know, the
More marketable you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Eric, I want to thank you very much for coming on Double Feature.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing more of your work.